Resentment is the best teacher because it's what teaches us how to get on with our lives. Is that as a human being, you're wired for this emotion in some way or another. And therefore, there isn't much point denying its existence. Resentment can be positive if it encourages one of two things. Either growing up with the shut the hell up mentality, or getting off your high horse, or shutting down out-of-line behaviors when they arise without giving too many details into why we feel so indignant towards such actions. Both cases teach people how to stop whining and actually do something constructive instead. Whenever I'm at a crossroads, I always know where the right path is, but still choose to take the wrong one. There are many times where all of us have been faced with this situation, and we often regret it later on down the line, because then you can't go back even if you wanted to. It's like an addiction that takes over your life without warning, and yet some people will do anything just as long as they get their fix, no matter what else might happen in between or afterwards. I had to take responsibility for the actions that led me to where I am now. I thought about all the things in life I did wrong and how they increased the probability of getting sent here. The more grateful, repentant feeling led me towards making a confession so I could finally feel better inside as well as help other people who are struggling with themselves or have been through something similar. What would happen if I took responsibility for where I am? What is it like being stuck there after having done some bad deeds beforehand, which put you back into these circumstances? And what does one do when finding out that their past mistakes brought them down to such an extent? Do they just give up on trying to salvage any hope? Suppose you're feeling resentful about the nature of being or suffering too much of your own life. What would a person do to straighten out that resentment? One option is doing penance, which means changing something in yourself so as not to suffer any longer. But what if this change doesn't last? You might have an easier time with it and be more successful long-term by simply refraining from those things you know are wrong, like lying, cheating on someone's trust, stealing their property or money, drinking excessively. And then there's also just trying. Try abstaining for 1 week. Try not to say every angry word either internally or externally. Watch instead, but don't stop showing anger altogether. I've had heard from people who are saying, hey, I tried that, and hey, you know it worked. They tell me about their personal struggles through something as simple as reading a great line of what they read. I think it's really interesting that people look for an outside force to blame. For example, if your life isn't going the way you want, then all of a sudden you have someone else to blame and not yourself. I find this kind of insecure because when there is something wrong with me or my world, how can I fix it? Well, maybe what we need in our lives are some faults where instead of blaming ourselves or others, we just work on fixing them together so that they don't happen again. Humility can be a difficult concept to comprehend, but it is an important tenet in many religious beliefs. The idea of humility comes from the Latin word humilitas, which means lowliness or lowness. It refers not to just low social status, but also suggest that one has less power and knowledge than another person. When we are humble when seeing ourselves as being lower on the totem pole than others, then what we don't know becomes our friends because they have something good inside them for us. If only we could identify with their ignorance better rather than feeling threatened by it. You think you have a lot of knowledge to share with the world, but that's not enough. You need more than just general statements about how wrong other people are. Therefore, when someone points out my ignorance in an argument or conversation, and it seems like they're trying to correct me, I am grateful for their help. Because if there was some way I could be corrected, then maybe one day we would both know something right. Imagine you're on a great adventure, and if you listen to the people around you, they might tell you amazing things. You can get little tools from them that are like Batman's gadgets, which will help in your journey into the world out there, where anything could happen. So it comes down to this. Do you want to be right or learn something new? And learning is deeper than being right, because then what happens when I already have everything figured out as the king of my own destiny? Enjoy your journey. Nobody has ever really figured it out.